Well, a dramatic new report by the New York Times revealing the Internal Revenue Service is seizing the assets of ordinary Americans without suspicion of a specific crime. The New York Times reporting the agency is using a law designed to catch criminals trying to hide their cash, and law-abiding citizens are paying the price. Fox News Chief Congressional Correspondent Mike Emanuel with our report.
I've decided to fight this fight because I didn't do anything wrong.
Iowa grandmother Carol Hinders runs a cash-only Mexican restaurant in Arnolds Park, Iowa. She says last year 2 IRS agents told her the agency had seized her checking account nearly $33,000.
I had to scramble, I had to borrow, I had to beg, I had to put money on my credit cards, things I've never done before. It's been a year from hell.
That hell caused by the IRS, which under a law designed to go after criminals or terrorists by tracking their cash, critics say has harassed middle-class Americans who haven't been charged with anything. Banks are required to report cash deposits greater than $10,000 because they're considered possible signs of criminal activity. Yet largely cash businesses need to make frequent deposits. The Institute for Justice is fighting back on behalf of small business owners against this kind of asset seizure.
We need judges to be engaged in these cases and enforce constitutional limits on the government power to seize property. No one in America should lose their property without being convicted, let alone even charged with a crime. That's what's happened here, and it needs to end.
The IRS now says it will curtail this practice, saying, quote, this policy update will ensure that CI, criminal investigation, continues to focus our limited investigative resources on identifying and investigating violations within our jurisdiction. But so far, there's no sign the agency will return the money it has seized. Mitch, Rich, and Jeff Hirsch, who own Bi-County Distributors, a candy and cigarette business on Long Island, New York, had $447,000 seized by the government more than 2 years ago, and so far they've been unable to get their money back. Jeff Hirsch says the impact has been devastating.
It's been very hard to do the daily operations. We're just making it as a family. We're just holding our head, above water.
The lawyer representing some of the small businesses targeted says quite often they never get their money back because it is too expensive to challenge the IRS in court. As for the business owners, they say the basic idea of due process is violated in these civil forfeiture cases. Lou?
Joining us now, Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano. Judge, the IRS made, 639 seizures in 2012, up from 114 in 2005. What in the world? We know that some of the management of that agency is out of control politically. Now what are they doing?
Well, can you think of anything more un-American than punish first and charge, perhaps if we decide to charge later? That's effectively what this is. Congress wrote a statute that made it a crime to structure. Structuring is for businesses that regularly deposit money. They know that if they deposit cash in their bank account, $10,000 or more, the bank will report it to the feds.
Right.
But if they deposit $9,999 on a regular basis, no reporting. But if you do that enough, that will be reported, and you'll be charged with structuring. Ordering your bank account so as to avoid federal oversight.
So there's no requirement for intent, no requirement for criminal activity, no requirement for investigation, no requirement for a judge's order?
When the statute was originally written, all of those requirements you just ticked off on your fingers was in the statute. And then the IRS said, it's too difficult, and Congress changed the statute. So Congress expressly authorized the IRS to do this. The same Congress that took an oath to uphold the Constitution is permitting the IRS to seize funds from totally innocent people.
Which party was in charge of these chambers when that occurred?
The president was George W. Bush, and it was his first term in office. It was Republicans.
All the way?
Yes.
Republicans in the Senate, Republicans in the Congress.
And a Republican in the White House. Correct.
Unbelievable.
Because the first person to be convicted under the old statute, which required knowingly, willfully, and intentionally, that conviction was overturned by the Supreme Court when it found that the government didn't prove knowingly, willfully, and intentionally. So the Congress removed that language from the statute and said, go ahead and seize away. This has been going on for years.